Hello students, so let us study the issue of autonomy of RBI. RBI जो है वो एक सेमी ऑटोनोमस इंस्टीट्यूट है. It is not fully autonomous, it is semi autonomous. Why I am saying that it is semi autonomous? It is because RBI does not intervene in the monetary policy decisions, but major decisions are taken by the government only. The major decisions which are related to the monetary policy are taken by government, but in day-to-day operations RBI is autonomous with respect to monetary policy decisions. अगर हम पास्ट में देखें तो जो मेजर डिसीजंस लिए गए हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल डीमोनेटाइजेशन, या फिर उससे भी पहले डिसीजन लिया गया था कि जो एक्सचेंज रेट सिस्टम है वो हम फिक्स्ड रेट से फ्लोटिंग रेट में चेंज करेंगे. तो इट वाज डिसाइडेड बाय द गवर्नमेंट, इट वाज अनाउंस्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट थ्रू द बजट ओनली. जो डे टू डे डिसीजंस होते हैं, जैसे कि सीआरआर रेट क्या होना चाहिए, रेपो रेट क्या होना चाहिए, रिवर्स रेपो रेट क्या होना चाहिए, ये डिसीजंस जो गवर्नमेंट है उसने आरबीआई को डेलीगेट किए हुए हैं. दीज डिसीजंस आर टेकन बाय आरबीआई ऑटोनोमसली. इस तरह से हम कह सकते हैं कि जो आरबीआई है वो एक सेमी ऑटोनोमस इंस्टीट्यूट है. गवर्नमेंट में इंटरवीन, बट गवर्नमेंट यूजुअली डे टू डे अफेयर्स के अंदर इंटरवीन नहीं करती. यहाँ पर इट इज़ वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट टू मेंशन सेक्शन 7 ऑफ द आरबीआई एक्ट 1934. ये जो सेक्शन है इट एम्पावर्स द गवर्नमेंट टू इशू डायरेक्शंस टू द आरबीआई in national interest. Therefore, it is very clear in the legal scheme of things that government can issue directions to the RBI and RBI has to follow these directions. Till now, government has never exercised this power under section 7 of the RBI Act 1934, क्योंकि इसकी कभी ज़रूरत पड़ी ही नहीं. लेकिन 2019 के अंदर देयर वॉज अ टसल बिटवीन RBI एंड द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ द डे. देन इन दैट कंटेक्स्ट government threatened that we can use section 7, we can invoke section 7 if you do not follow central government's directives. So although section 7 was not invoked, but a threatening advice was given by the government to the RBI. Okay, so we have understood this. Now let us see some of the instances wherein the autonomy of the RBI was threatened. पहला instance जिसमें we can see that autonomy of RBI was challenged was the demonetization. In the year 2016, government announced demonetization policy which involved the withdrawal of certain high value currency notes from the circulation. It was alleged that RBI was not initially involved in this major decision, and even if RBI was involved, it was involved at a very later stage. So there was this criticism that RBI was not consulted by the government. So during the period of demonetizations, questions were raised about the autonomy of RBI. Although it is important to mention here that the RBI governor spoke before the parliament and told that RBI was consulted by the government. But even after this, the critics argued that had RBI been consulted, then the problems, the issues, the challenges that people faced during the implementation of demonetizations would not have taken place had RBI been consulted properly. The second instance wherein autonomy of RBI was questioned was the composition of Monetary Policy Committee. Critics have argued that the composition of the Monetary Policy Committee gives government too much influence over the monetary policy decisions, which undermine the independence of RBI. मॉनिटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी में 6 मेंबर्स होते हैं. 3 members are the internal and 3 members are external experts which are appointed by the central government. Third instance wherein the autonomy of RBI, this question was raised, is the issue related to the prompt corrective action framework. PCA framework के अंदर RBI imposes restriction on the lending by some weak banks. वीक बैंक्स वो बैंक्स हैं जिनका नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट्स NPAs बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं, तो उनके ऊपर RBI एक रेस्ट्रिक्शन लगाती है कि आप अब और लैंडिंग मत कीजिए. जितनी लैंडिंग आपने कर ली है उसी लैंडिंग को आप प्रॉपरली मैनेज कीजिए, NPAs को रिकवर कीजिए, जिससे कि इन वीक बैंक्स की फाइनेंशियल हेल्थ जो है वो फर्दर डिटीरियोरेट ना हो. There have been some instances where government has pressurized the RBI to relax the PCA rules in order to provide more credit to certain sectors. तो एक तरफ तो RBI चाहती है कि जो फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं उनकी हेल्थ बेटर रहे. दूसरी तरफ कई बार गवर्नमेंट चाहती है कि जो ग्रोथ है वो हैम्पर नहीं होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर बैंक्स लैंड करना कम कर देंगे तो उससे डिमांड कम होगी, उससे इकोनॉमिक जो ग्रोथ है इट विल बी नेगेटिवली इम्पैक्टेड. और अगर इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ नेगेटिवली इम्पैक्ट होती है देन ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ इलेक्शन दिस बिकम्स अ ह्यूज इशू फॉर द गवर्नमेंट. द नेक्स्ट इंस्टेंस इज ट्रांसफ़र ऑफ RBI रिजर्व्स टू द गवर्नमेंट. इन जनरल RBI के पास कुछ रिजर्व्स रहते हैं, कुछ एक्स्ट्रा मनी रहती है, तो गवर्नमेंट प्रेशराइज करती है कि RBI शुड ट्रांसफ़र दीज रिजर्व्स टू द गवर्नमेंट. RBI ये रिजर्व्स रखती है ताकि RBI कैन मीट एनी कंटिजेंसी, एनी रिस्क विच मे अराइज इन फ्यूचर. लेकिन गवर्नमेंट कहती है कि क्योंकि आपके पास लैक्स ऑफ करोड़ रुपीज़ रिजर्व्स में रखे हैं तो यू ट्रांसफ़र दैट मनी टू द गवर्नमेंट. So these are the instances wherein the autonomy of RBI came to the fore, came into the limelight. Now let us study certain arguments in favor as well as against the autonomy of RBI. The most important argument in favor of autonomy of RBI is that autonomy of RBI will allow the RBI not using monetary policy for political considerations. By operating independently, the RBI is able to focus on its long-term goal, which is controlling inflation or maintaining price stability, rather than being swayed by the short-term political considerations. The second argument in favor of autonomy of RBI is that it insulates monetary policy from political pressures. If central bank is seen as being politically influenced, then it may lose the trust of the market participants and the public, leading to a lack of confidence in the stability of the financial system. Therefore, अगर RBI autonomous होता है तो जो मार्केट पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं, जो पीपल हैं, पब्लिक हैं, उनके अंदर कॉन्फिडेंस होता है कि जो फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम है वो फ्यूचर में भी अच्छी तरह काम करेगा. एंड दिस होप, दिस ट्रस्ट इज़ वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर अ developing country like India, which aspires to become a developed nation. Now let us study the arguments against central bank autonomy. The first argument is that the central bank lacks a political mandate. The RBI governor is not accountable to the general public directly. The people in a democracy have empowered the government of the day to take the decisions. Therefore, in a democracy, it is the representatives which are elected by the people of India. They should take decisions rather than a appointed person like RBI governor. The second argument against autonomy of RBI is that it may weaken coordination between monetary policy and fiscal policy. If RBI will move in North Pole and the central government will move to the South Pole, then how will the coordination come between the monetary policy and fiscal policy? It will become a very challenging situation. Both the policies are very interrelated, and if the central bank is too independent, it may become difficult to achieve this coordination. Now, keeping in mind the pros and cons about the autonomy of RBI, what should be our conclusion? We can say that the current practice wherein RBI is semi autonomous, it is working well, wherein the RBI has the autonomy to use what kind of instruments it can use to achieve the goals of the monetary policy. RBI is independent, RBI is autonomous when it comes to the deciding the rates, repo rate, reverse repo rate. But the goals of the monetary policy are not decided completely by RBI. Government has also say in that. Therefore, RBI being semi-autonomous is functioning good, functioning well, and this procedure, this process should continue. If RBI become fully autonomous, it will go against the political mandate, the democratic mandate, wherein if RBI becomes very weak, then the government of the day might misuse monetary policy for political considerations. Therefore, RBI being a semi-autonomous institution can guard against the misuse of monetary policy for political considerations. So this is all about the autonomy of RBI. Thank you so much.